Hello, Tallahassee. I am student meteorologist Chandler Pruitt to kick off your Tuesday edition of FSU weather. Taking a look at tonight's headlines. We have a lot for you, but it's mostly all about that rain. Of course, you guys looked out the window and saw a bunch of rain today. And well, the rain is pretty persistent for the entire southeast, so this is not an uncommon occurrence. Even when you go into Alabama and looking at Arkansas and Mississippi, they've been dealing with the same rain from the same system as well. We are also looking at Pacific Northwest drought relief in the form of rain, so more rain. And then we'll talk about Sam and how he kind of changed figures a little bit. All that and more on FSU weather, which starts right now. Hello guys, again, I'm back. So let's get a look at this overview for you guys right now. It's cloudy over Doak Campbell Stadium. Of course, it's been rainy most of the day, but the rain is tapering off. We have mostly cloudy skies in 74 as our temperature with winds coming out of the north-northwest at 5 miles per hour. You see that rain is really moving on to our east, going towards Live Oak and going across I-10 towards I-75. Most of the rain is in the Gulf right now and to our north and west. Taking a look at tonight's forecast, you can see 70s for the most part everywhere, 74 here in St. Mark's. So again, pretty typical temperatures and conditions. See upper 70s for tomorrow's forecast because of all those clouds really keeping a blanket on us. And then for tonight on FSU weather, you see that we're talking about that wet week ahead, as well as conditions clearing out for the weekend, which is great, and also the tropical interest off the southeast coast. So with that, we'll take it to Robert to kick us off with the top story at the desk.
Right, thank you, Chandler. And we have a top story right now out of Tallahassee. It's going to be a very wet weekend here, and we're actually seeing a situation that's going to be very interesting. We have a flash flood watch issued for Tallahassee right now, and that is going to be very important for us because, as I'm sure you know, we are in an area that has many streams and creeks. So as you are looking at driving into an area that maybe usually doesn't flood, we are seeing this low pressure system actually come into the region. Right now we have an upper level water vapor that shows all this water vapor coming into the region and giving us a lot of train of moisture. So you're going to want to watch out because we have a flash flood watch issued that is going to be very crucial as you move into the next few days here to ensure that you are being safe around these roads and you are not getting yourself into a situation where you might be flooded out. So now we are going to pass things off to our graphics, and I will be going onto our wall to explain a little bit more about our top story and everything going on here. So we have this upper level water vapor, here, and you can see it right now on this map. The biggest thing that we're looking at here is you can see just south of Memphis, that's where it is. Right here, really spinning up just a little bit, we have this low pressure system, and it's bringing in all this water vapor into our region. And behind it, it's bringing in a little bit of dry air, but our main concern here in Tallahassee is all of this water vapor is providing a lot of moisture here for these storms, Gulf moisture, that is really going to make our situation here a little bit exacerbated. And that is why the National Weather Service has issued this flash flood watch. Wind speeds are looking at here mostly a little bit calmer towards our side of the Deep South, but 10 miles per hour for most of you guys on the western end of the Deep South. Little Rock at 10, New Orleans at 6, but as I said earlier, 5 here in Tallahassee, and actually calm as you make your way towards Tampa. Southeast radar really showing all this rain coming up into our region, coming up that southerly flow. We've actually got a big complex right off here, just off the coast here, and that is probably going to make maybe not our commute so wet because it is coming off towards the northeast a little bit, but for those of you perhaps around Perry, around Gainesville, you are going to see this complex of showers and storms really make your nightly commute a little bit wetter. So that is something to very much keep in mind. Looking at this system a little closer, we can see the southeast soaker really going to make, particularly in the I-75 corridor, your times a little bit less comfortable than they usually are. And also some of these more broader showers and thunderstorms down here that are going to make, as they come inland, they're going to make for some heavy downpours. So again, we have this flash flood watch issue going up into the region. Very important to recognize that as we are going into this next few days here. We actually have a flash flood warning, important to note, just south of Atlanta here. This is going to be a very big situation for you guys right here. Rain training towards your south and east that is going to come up into your region and exacerbate the situation here. So the main story for the southeast is actually looking at all of these storms, showers and thunderstorms over here, over this region here. Showers and thunderstorms overspreading Kentucky and Tennessee. So again, very important to note for all of you guys that we do have a situation that's going to be very crucial to stay away. Stay away from flooded rivers, flooded overpasses. Make sure you turn around and don't drown. Again, showers and thunderstorms, and we actually do have a few severe ones in Mississippi here. So we're looking at Jackson. We have some showers and thunderstorms for you guys over here. So again, very important to understand that we do have some really severe weather over here going into Mississippi. Also, very important to note this graphic right here. You can really see the low pressure system really sort of curling around here. So that's a nice weather feature for this East Coast soaker. Again, we have rain coming through the region, so it's going to linger in the southeast through the end of the week. Drier weather ahead for the weekend and little change in the temperature forecast. So again, very crucial for us here in the southeast to watch this drought. Here's Chandler.
Absolutely great reminder, Robert. Thank you for giving us a good idea of what's going on in the southeast. It's very important to see what's going on with our northern neighbors. Now taking things back to here in the Big Bend region, of course, mentioned earlier, 74 degrees is our current temperature, where we're mostly sitting at mostly cloudy skies. We have luckily not dealt with the rain for the last 30 minutes or so, and it's really just tapering off, but it's only because it's really shifting towards our south and east. Taking a look at the temperature almanac today, 75. We are pretty below average, when that's obviously because we had a lot of cloud coverage today that was keeping the sun from really cooking us up. And so we also had our low above average, which of course clouds trap in that warm, moist air. And so of course we had pretty much moderate conditions the entire day. Started off at 71 and then, well, we basically peaked at about 74 around noon, and we're back around 74 here at 5 p.m. Nothing too terribly interesting when it comes to that trend. Of course, that's just because these clouds really just keeping things mild. You look at 76 in Donaldsonville, that's our biggest takeaway in the Big Bend region. And you can also see these current dew points in the 70s for the most part, very muggy conditions. So of course, you're going out there, you might be feeling like you're swimming in a water block. And well, that is definitely the case here in Tallahassee, Valdosta, and getting onto the coastline, Apalachicola. Taking a look at that local radar, well, we see those showers I hinted at earlier. They're making their way towards Live Oak. Of course, Robert just mentioned Perry. Also, you guys are dealing with some rain. Now it's starting to taper off a little bit. But, of course, expect that it might continue to linger for the next 30 minutes to an hour. But, again, you can see that Live Oak is really getting ready to get ambushed by some rain, both from the south and from the east. So take a little bit of shelter if you guys do not want to get wet there. Taking a look at the upper level water vapor, you see this upper level low that Robert was mentioning earlier. You can see that the dry air behind it and, of course, all the convection to our south associated with those storms. Future radar, you can see these showers making their way across the south, or from the south to the north. And we'll see some wet, rainy conditions tomorrow afternoon. And for tonight's forecast, you can see that we'll have 70s for the most part. Again, those clouds really keeping us warm like a blanket. 76 in Apalachicola and 76 in Carabel. So you guys can expect a little bit of rain and a little bit warmer conditions. For tomorrow, you can expect 80s for a few portions like Tallahassee and Bainbridge, but really honestly, it's all about the same temperature because of those clouds. For the dog walk forecast, well, we can expect a peak around 79, but I wouldn't take your dogs out on the walk when it's all rainy tomorrow. And looking at a week ahead, again, it's mainly just going to be rainy for the next few days, and then we'll taper off towards the weekend. So that's our big story. Robert, how about you take it away, taking a look at Florida?
Right, we are looking at this rainy conditions coming in here for most of us here in Florida. And you can really see it here on the sky cams for us here in places like Gainesville. But the rest of Florida, not really getting in on the action yet, like Miami and Panama City Beach. All we're seeing for you guys is just a nice sun. So we are the Sunshine State. It is a little bit to be expected, but we are going to see these rainy conditions continue to influence our weather here in North Florida in areas like Gainesville. Current temperatures looking across the state, they are fairly mild compared to where we were this summer. A little bit nicer up towards the north, 74 here in Tallahassee and 82 towards Jacksonville. Seeing these highs and higher temperatures of the day coming a little bit higher towards West Palm Beach and Tampa, where we see 85, but nobody getting into the 90s right now. And that's a beautiful thing to say for this time of year. We are in October, so that transition season, so we're still going to take these nicer temperatures before we really start to make our way into fall. Looking at upper level water vapor, seeing this big system that's really making us have this moisture here. This is the weather maker in the story of the day. This system coming towards the north and east, it's going to impact you guys probably in Gainesville, maybe in Tampa. You're going to see some of this rain coming into the region. That's what we're watching out for to see if it's going to make some heavy rains and maybe even ponding. That's why we have a flash flood watch up here. Though a good thing to note for us is that our rain chances are going to be ending here in Tallahassee as this drier air behind the low pressure system makes its way a little bit east, and that is going to make it a better conditions into here as we get into the midweek and into late week this week. So not much more to worry about after this system passes through, though of course that is on a short time scale because we really do like our rain here in Florida. Rain, again, coming towards the east and north here, particularly towards where you see the Panhandle and Peninsula really intersecting right here. That is where we have all this rain coming in. And also, important to note, we do have a lot more rain coming for you guys in Alabama as well, so that is why that flash flood watch has extended for you guys into the area around Panama City and into Dothan. That's why we have it there, because these showers are going to make conditions potentially possible for a flash flood in areas that are lower lying. And that's, again, keep repeating it, but it's very important. Turn around, don't drown. When you see a situation that's a little bit hairy, you might want to turn away from that because the water might be higher than you think. Again, watching these storms coming up, Lake City, probably going to see a shower or two within the next few minutes, but not so much for you guys along the I-4 corridor. You might see maybe a shower or something, but nothing too crazy and nothing even close to warranting a flash flood watch. Again, down here in Fort Myers and Miami, we do see across the 75 corridor right here, showers and thunderstorms. Really important to note that this will cause a little bit of a soaker for you guys in Fort Myers, the city around you, Naples, Collier County, very important around here, and in South Florida around West Palm Beach, Broward County, all those counties there in Florida. So again, very important to remember here that we do have rainy conditions across the entire state, even if it is not entirely like what we see across the rest of Florida. So now we're going to pass things off to Chandler for some more of our weather.
That is right, and of course, as Robert mentioned, it's nicer to see these conditions that are a little bit better for Florida. And taking a look at the national picture, we also have some awesome conditions, especially over here in the Rockies. You see 74 in Salt Lake City, my dream area here in Colorado, Denver, 81. But looking over here at the east, you can really see these pockets of rain. They're keeping us pretty cool here in the southeast, while all this heat is surging up the corridor up into the Dakotas and Montana. And taking a look at that national radar, well, you can see that we have some rain in Las Vegas and we have some rain in the southeast. You really don't see rain here, but except for in monsoon season, which guess what? We're in monsoon season. And you can see that there's also a cold front up into the northeast or northwest that's really providing some drought relief. We'll get there in a second, though. And taking a look at that upper level water vapor, again, associated with those showers and storms in the west, you see all this convection, all this water vapor. It's really providing a little bit of that boost for these storms, especially in the west. And same story for the upper level low in the southeast. Again, seeing a bunch of those boosts here in the Gulf and over across the southeast and southern Appalachian Mountains. Taking a look at those dew points, it's very dry up in the upper northern Rockies. But then you take a look at Arizona, and actually it's kind of a little bit more on the muggy side than what you would expect for the desert. 59 in Los Angeles, that's kind of crazy. Of course, here in the southeast, it's quite a different story. Taking a look at the northeast, though, we have some showers that are trying to make their way to the North Atlantic. They're lingering here in Boston, and you can see our upper level low trying to make its way a little bit farther north and providing a little bit of showers here in the mid-Atlantic region in Virginia and in Maryland. Moving on south, though, we can see that there's a lot of moisture generated from the Gulf making its way towards the armpit of Florida, Gainesville. And taking a look at Memphis, we can also see some showers to your guys' north as well. And taking a closer look at that, you can see that there is some showers that are really circulating all around Memphis. So you can really see that there's the showers making their way from south to north and also from west or east to west. You really don't see that until you actually see a low pressure system that is right to its south. And that is what the case for this area. And you also see some of these showers making their way from north to south towards I-20. And taking a look at the future radar, again, some of these showers just making their way across the southeast, and they'll percolate tomorrow and provide a lot of that showers and a lot of that cooler temperatures, though, for the southeast. And taking a look at that rainfall again, this is why we have those flash flood watches out. Especially for Georgia, you can expect that they'll see some of those watches and warnings tomorrow, especially, and even into the Appalachian Mountains, where they have a lot of times these puddling conditions in the valleys. Also, looking at the drought monitor, we have drought that's starting to extend its way into the Central Plains, and then we have the drought, of course, that's been sticking around in the west. But luckily, as I hinted earlier, we have some of the showers that are really providing some relief from the monsoon season, and you can expect that there's some showers that are surging the way up through Utah, and so of course we're going to expect a little bit better conditions for the southwest. Taking a look here in Phoenix area, you can see there's actually a tornado warning associated with the monsoon rains and some flash flood watches. And of course we'll also see some more relief here in the northwest with showers making their way from west to east along the Cascade Mountains. For tonight's lows, you can expect 50s across most of the Rocky Mountain region and then 60s across the southeast associated with all those clouds and the rain from the upper level low. And for tomorrow's highs, you can expect 80s again for most of the region in the corridor of the central United States, but 70s across the areas where we're seeing rain.
Right, we do see very interesting conditions nationally, quite a bit of a gradient between our warmer southeast and the northwest. An interesting thing to note for the northwest is actually we do have a situation where we have rain induced from the mountains because of the way that the winds come from the mountains. So again, we have the terrain right now on here on our graphic, and I'm here at the desk explaining it. We do have the winds that come in from the windward side of the mountains. The really important thing to remember here is that these winds are really good at producing rain. And the reason why is, we have a graphic here in a second that I'm going to show you, but first I want to explain the terrain before I get into that. An important thing is the Cascades right here. They are the major weather maker for our corridor along the I-5 corridor here. And the reason why is, if you look at this graphic, it's very interesting to show you the windward side and leeward side. Now, we have winds that come up from the warm ocean here. A lot of water vapor really gets mixed into those winds here, and those prevailing winds do come up towards mountains. Now, as these winds sort of come up and provide a lift here, they condense and provide water vapor. And as those winds, as that water vapor condenses into rain, as I'm sure you all know, it comes and provides precipitation. So along the windward side, that's when these winds are coming towards the mountains, it provides a lot of opportunity for you guys to see rain and maybe even a little more vegetation compared to the leeward side. Those winds come up along the mountain here, and as you can see, these winds are coming up along the mountain, across the top, and down the other side of the mountain. This dry descending air, it creates not as good conditions for rain or convective activity. So that's the very important thing for rainfall here, the orthographic effect or the rain effect because of mountains. It's a very important feature of the Northwest and a major rainmaker for you guys, and a cool geographic feature just to point out. We love to point out important graphical features for you guys on FSU weather, and that is the rain shadow effect.
Absolutely. And that was a very important segment, just to take a look at how the drought is being relieved in the Northwest. Of course, we don't have to deal with that as much here in Florida. Typically during this time of year especially, we're seeing all those rainy showers that are starting to make their way across I-10 and really just providing a lot of the rain that we usually see around this time of year. Of course, hour by hour, we started off at 71 degrees at 6 a.m. And, well, that was very mild, above average. But then you take a look at where we got it to and around noon and 1 p.m. Only 74 degrees. Of course, we expect closer to 80 degrees, 85 degrees. So really, honestly, quite cool conditions. But you don't really notice that whenever it comes to all this rain, keeping you inside, not really wanting to enjoy the outdoors. I mean, I wouldn't whenever it's raining like this. You'd see 75 degrees in St. Mark's, and taking a look up at Valdosta, 78 and 78 in Apalachicola as well. So very mild conditions all across the area, really associated with all these clouds that are really just keeping the sun from heating us up. We see 71 degrees in Tallahassee, again, creating muggy conditions here in the Big Bend region. So, of course, when you see 70-degree dew points along with 70-degree temperatures, you can expect that there's rain in the area, and you can expect that it's very muggy, and you'll walk outside and feel like you're swimming in a block of water. And taking a look more at the Florida radar, you can see that there's some showers that are trying to make their way towards Gainesville and towards Tampa. So, of course, we're starting to see it clear out for us, but that is not the story for the entire week. That is just the story for tonight. And really, honestly, zooming in to the eastern part of the Big Bend, you can really see that there is showers that are really trying to make their way towards Lake City. So, of course, if you guys are outside in Lake City, try to get back inside, because if you don't want to get wet, I would suggest to do so. Taking a look at the future radar, really, honestly, just going to see these showers surge from the southwest and really provide more rainy conditions throughout the day tomorrow. You can expect closer to about 6 p.m. we can see those showers really start to pop up and make our evening a little bit on the not so fun side. 69 degrees is tonight in Tallahassee, and we can see a possible isolated thunderstorm, but of course expect more of that tomorrow. For tomorrow, you can expect 80 degrees and rain, like I just said, and southeastern winds that are about 8 miles per hour. So slightly noticeable, although not entirely out of the, they're not exactly going to disturb you on your walk tomorrow. For the dog walk forecast, 79 degrees at noon. Again, pretty much you don't want to walk. It's going to be rainy. And that's the story for Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday, but we clear out over the weekend. So great conditions overall.
So
and
you're saying that no one can walk their dogs tomorrow? The dogs are going to have to stay inside?
Absolutely, Robert, absolutely. I do not suggest doing it. I don't want to get wet.
That's fair enough. You don't want to have a wet dog. Okay, so we have our tropical satellite going on here. We have a little bit of an interesting situation because we were watching an area of disturbed weather towards the Caribbean, maybe for some development, but it's kind of fallen apart. So that's not the story anymore. We have two stories that we're going to talk about in tonight's tropical segment. We have Sam, which is now no longer a tropical system. It is still kind of sitting out there trying to do its thing, but it's no longer tropical. It's a cold core low, and you can see that up there. And then we have a potential area of disturbed weather over here, only has about a 10% chance of forming. So again, we don't have a lot on the radar right now, but it is just the beginning of October, and this is our climatological pretty high time for activity here. Storms coming up from the Caribbean towards us, so very important to stay engaged. Sam, no longer a tropical system, no longer a hurricane, just a cold core low, not going to affect anyone, just maybe bring some windy conditions, 80 miles per hour out there to you mariners in that part of the northern Atlantic. And the reason why it's not tropical, look at all this dry air getting mixed up into that low right there. That's not even tropical, not even close. It has nowhere near the water vapor it would need to sustain an actual tropical activity. And that far north, it's to be expected. It's taken a little bit of a loop-de-loop up here in the projected path. You can see some lows up here going around Iceland, almost like it doesn't want to go there, but then it decides at the end of the day it'll go to Iceland. So we got Sam up there, going to make some windy conditions for you in Iceland, but no actual hurricanes making landfall. Nothing to worry about for you guys. We do have an area of interest. It's going to be a little bit to the east of Florida here, about a 10% chance of formation, and it could move up to the north and maybe develop. Conditions aren't exactly that favorable right now because we do have a low off to its west that's sort of course, bringing us all this rain up here. That's not favorable for a tropical development, and it's not doing a good time at getting convection developed here. That's another thing we look at. Not a lot of convection actually coming into this storm. There's actually more convection going on with this system over here, bringing rain into Florida, and if you're looking for tropical development, not a good sign. This storm is going to make its way towards maybe the north, might bring some rainy conditions to you in the Carolinas if it does make its way up that way. But at this point, the Hurricane Center is not expecting any sort of major development with this system here. So again, nothing you're really going to be worried about here for any sort of hurricane development, at least yet. But again, always important to remember, these systems can do things you don't expect. And also, new systems can develop. So it is very important to remember to stay tuned and don't just tune out because there's nothing going on right now, because we are not done with hurricane season, not yet. We have already had an above average season and anything could happen. Caribbean satellite seeing some disturbed weather here, nothing too crazy to worry about right now. Maybe some showers and thunderstorms for you in Jamaica, but again, nothing tropical yet. So remember, stay tuned, keep your phone alerts on, make sure to stay tuned to FSU weather, but nothing too crazy.
That's right, and I'm really happy Sam made the decision to go to Iceland. It's a really beautiful country. I hope to make it there someday as well. Taking a look at the southeast radar, of course, we're going to recap the show. We can see these showers that are making their way towards Gainesville and towards Tampa, and also making their way around Memphis and Alabama and Mississippi. You can see the curve with the upper level low as it makes its way from west to east. And we're going to see some rain, especially over in the Panhandle, and then going into Georgia and the upstate South Carolina and the southern Appalachian regions. And taking a look at more of the showers in the southwest due to the monsoon rains, you can see that we'll have potential for maybe a shower or two to spin up something. You can actually see a tornado warning here in central Arizona. And again, talking about Sam, it's trying to make its decision. It will go to Iceland quite soon. And area of interest, like Robert mentioned, it is pretty minimal. And for tonight's lows, you can expect 60s and 50s across most of the region. And you can also expect for tomorrow's highs to be 70s and 80s with maybe a 90 in Phoenix. But now we're going to move over to the desk to really just talk more about what we can expect for the rest of the show. Taking a look at the local conditions, it's really 74 degrees and cloudy. Again, just what you would expect for today. Like we talked about, it's really just been a rain soaker. And for the current local temps, again, 70s for most of the area, 75 in St. Mark. So again, just mild conditions overall. And future radar, again, showers across the area, and we can really zoom in to expect these flash flood watches and warnings, or watches, especially close to Alabama. They could potentially result in something dangerous, Robert.
Right. It's important to remember here that we do have a situation developing that is going to be very crucial if you are driving into an area that's going to see disturbed weather like this. We have a watch issued. Just stay away from any sort of creeks or streams. That's just the #1 rule here. If you need to get somewhere quickly, it's not going to be worth risking your life. So again, turn around, don't drown, don't get into those areas here. Future radar showing this weather really clearing off here. We do have maybe another shower or two, but it's mostly not going to affect the Tallahassee as it's staying towards our north and east. So again, very important for our local weather here that we do see some showers and thunderstorms. Week ahead here is going to be mostly disturbed weather until we get to the weekend. 80s for us here, and then nice sunny weather, maybe a 20 or 10% chance of rain looking for next week. How about that, Chandler?
I like how you put it. It is definitely disturbed weather right now. You really see all those showers. It's really been the moral of the story for today. We talked about all those showers both in the southeast and in the southwest and in the northwest. So a lot of rainy conditions overall, and that's the story here in the Big Bend region. Today we had 80% chance of rain, and you can expect more of that to continue into Thursday and Friday. So of course, really just honestly quite muggy and wet conditions, which you would not expect normally for this time of year, as far as like it's still a little bit on the rainier and muggier side. But at least the temperatures are starting to catch up with the fall season, and would hopefully expect more of the same as we get into later in October and going into November. Of course, we didn't mention it on this show, but looking at the Climate Prediction Center, they did predict that we would see a little bit more of warmer conditions for the next 14 days. So more of the same, more of what you have seen today and the last week. But yeah. So follow us on Twitter at twitter.com/FSU weather, and like us on Facebook. Facebook is up and running now at facebook.com/FSU weather, and watch us live on YouTube, youtube.com/FSU weather, and always like our posts on Instagram. And of course, we'd love to see some of your pictures. So again, just looking at the week ahead, we'll just look at the 7 day. But yeah. Overall, conditions that are just beautiful for the weekend, but not so much for Wednesday, or for today and for the next couple of days. So